Hi, this is Stuart J. Raj, and welcome to this episode of Wag the Dragon.
Hello.
Now, you might be noticing that we have a slightly different format today, and it's because I'm honored to have my good friend Luke here.
Wow. Honored, wow.
And
I should have dressed better.
yeah, you can see, well, one, it's Songkran, so it's scorching hot outside, you can probably see. And because of the circumstances, I'm having to hold Miss Bear up here because she won't let us speak otherwise. But today's topic is, well, I wanted to call it, you don't have to be an English teacher. How to not be an English teacher in Asia. But I think it goes beyond that. Luke, you are not an English teacher, are you?
I'm not an English
No,
teacher.
you're not an English, and you never have been since you've been here, basically.
Never have been. I think my knowledge of Thai grammar is actually better than my knowledge of English grammar.
Right. So I did a clip, and you could probably have a look up there. Where's it there? Yep. Up. You have a look up there. I did a clip several weeks back, getting out of the expat bubble. I think I called it How to Not Be in Asia. And I look at you, and I really wanted to talk to you about this because I think what you have to say and your experiences here are going to help a lot of people doing business, not just in Thailand, but in Asia, living in Asia, or people who have got a fiance, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner here. They can learn a lot from you.
When I first moved here, I was just completely avoiding anything expat related. I mean, my first year here, I studied Thai intensively. I also worked. I made Thai friends. But, you know, I'd meet expat friends. I'm like, nah, let's not hang out. Or I'd meet Thais who spoke English well and wanted to practice that. I'm like, no, it's not really what I'm interested in. People invite me to do anything Thai. Like, they want to go drink at a Thai bar. Go to a coyote show. Anything I want. I say,
Right.
yes. As long as it's a like Thai thing, I'll do it.
Right.
One New Year's Day, they invited me to do that 9 temples in one day thing.
Right.
Which I thought would be fun because everybody else was doing it until I realized I was hungover and could only last 2 temples and went home. But for me, it was about just integrating myself as much as possible. But as I would do these things, and especially get to the new situations, I would be mostly pretty quiet, and I would sit in the back, and I would just try to observe what was going on, almost like an armchair sociologist. I'd observe people's body language, how Thais don't really move too much. I'd observe how people would eat, where they would, take a plate of food and they'd serve other people and then serve themselves. So I'd slowly observe these things and slowly absorb them in. And while I was learning Thai with my teacher, I was learning culture just by observation.
Okay, so this is a point. Since putting that clip up, and I've had a lot of discussions both online and offline with people about it, and my clients, and there's the question, but do we really have to go native was a word, and I don't know if that's a good term or a bad term, going native, but from what I can see from you, you don't have to lose your identity. You don't have to try and pretend to be somebody that you're not.
Oh, no.
From what I've seen.
I don't think I've changed my identity at all. People say, oh, are you a Buddhist? And I say, no.
Right.
They say, oh, you're Christian. I'm like, no, I'm an atheist, but that's a separate story.
Yeah.
People say, oh, you must love Thai food. I'll say, well, I do love Thai food, but nothing beats pizza.
Right.
So I still think I'm not the same person I was 14 years ago when I moved here because people always change.
Right.
And people might say to me, oh, เป็นคนไทยแล้ว, like you're already Thai. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not Thai, but I guess I'm not fully the same American I was before too. Like I've become some mix that hopefully pulls the best of both cultures.
And that's it. Like for me, like I like languages, and I've spoken a lot of languages both since I was little, and I keep learning them. With every language I learn, it's a key to the people's hearts, and so that means it's actually another. It's not just a culture, but it adds a different dimension to who you are.
Yeah.
But and then you just learn to communicate who you are through that lens. It doesn't mean you're somebody different.
But I think too, as you spend time in other cultures, you learn to absorb the good things from those cultures.
Yep.
Like I'm much more laid back than you. I used to live in the States, and I was very intense, very on time, very obsessed with everything. And I've lived here, and I've learned to be much more laid back.
Yeah.
I walk slower. If things don't happen the way they're supposed to happen, I don't get upset because you learn that things never happen the way they're supposed to happen here.
Okay, and so one other thing that I hear is a lot of people coming over here, they get caught in this expat bubble, and then they start working and doing the other things that other expats are doing. So to make a living, you get the classic, what do? Teach English. we spoke earlier. You don't teach English.
I do speak English.
You speak English, but you don't teach English. How did you start in Thailand, work-wise, business-wise?
It was completely random. I came here, I was in India studying yoga and Sanskrit, and I came here on a holiday afterwards to visit a Thai friend of mine I knew from the States, and met this woman who owned a yoga studio. And
I think that's when we met.
Yeah, soon
Through
after.
Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I met this woman who owned a yoga studio, and she said, come, why don't you live here for a year to give it a try? And it was a couple things. I was going through a breakup. I'd never lived abroad, and it had always been a dream of mine. And George Bush had just been reelected. And I thought, what the f***? You picked him once? I could sort of understand that, but picked him twice, I'm getting the f*** out of here. But of course, I thought I could only get better, right?
Right.
After Bush, can't get any worse than this.
And so you came here, and you taught yoga?
I taught yoga, yep. And I started learning Thai. And people ask me, like, why are you learning, But in the beginning, when I was learning for a couple months, people will seem impressed. Like, oh, I'm happy you're learning Thai. But there was this point after like 3 months, 6 months, people started asking, why do you care so much? We're this country of like 68 million people.
Right.
Your Thai isn't going to benefit you when you leave Thailand. And I thought, I don't know how long I'm going to stay in this country for. It may be 1 year, maybe 20 years.
Right.
But to say that learning has no benefit beyond actual application just seemed like rubbish to me. Because learning is this process of uncovering things and learning things about yourself.
Right. But one thing I can say about Luke, if you have a look at Luke's YouTube channel, you have over 600,000 subscribers.
630.
630,000 subscribers as we speak today. And I'm sure that's going to grow. Now that's amazing because most of your viewers are Thai.
In Thai, yep.
That you do that. So you have managed as a foreigner to come in here, and you're actually, I can vouch for this, accepted in as part of the Thai landscape. How did you do that?
That's a good question. And there's this difference between being bilingual and bicultural.
Yes.
And I think it's very easy to be bilingual. And you meet people who might work at the embassy.
The embassies, yep.
They're all bilingual. Or people who might come from religious regions and they're bilingual. But to be bicultural, and Tay, my husband, will talk about this. He'll tell me my Thai isn't perfect. I have an accent. But he tells me I move and I act and I behave like a Thai person. And when you get those things down, people are much more likely to treat you natively.
Yeah, totally.
And it doesn't mean you have to lose your Americanness. It doesn't mean you have to stop loving pizza. It just means that you learn a slightly different way of interacting with people.
Through my Cracking Thai Fundamentals stuff on the language side, and a lot of people say, oh, we go in, people just won't speak in Thai to me, and so screw it, I'm just going to speak in English. As soon as they start speaking in Thai, they switch. And it's not about the words you're using, it's about this whole subconscious image of what they see when you go there. And your Thai doesn't have to be spot on, but if you tick enough of these boxes to make them feel normal, well then you'll be accepted pretty much, Thai. You won't be spoken to as this Phalang. You're just spoken to like a normal person. Yeah,
it's this element, and for me the biggest thing is, and I'm not even that tall. I mean, I don't know, 170 centimeters or so. I'm not even that tall, but there's this element of not being too intense, not scaring people.
Yeah.
And I'm from the US where people like to speak quickly and get close to people and kind of be sort of intense. But I've realized in Thailand it's about speaking slowly.
Yeah.
It's about calming down. It's about relaxing. And especially when I'm often much taller than most people, I don't have to bend down, but just sort of keep my distance and make people don't feel like they're not being intimidated by this tall Farang.
And the fact that Luke has been able to garner so much Thai support, even through proof on the YouTube channel, is testament to that. That actually a lot of the people say, oh no, you're never going to be in there and you're always going to be a stranger. No, you can totally become part of the landscape here, be accepted. Yeah, there's going to be some differences there, but I would say that you've actually done a very good job of that, and it's a great success story here in Thailand.
And it's those differences that you're never totally there, but it's those differences that make life interesting and fun.
Yeah.
It is nice when I'm back in the US and I can reference some Seinfeld episode from 20 years ago and everybody in the room gets it instantly, and I know that I can't even explain a Seinfeld episode to people here and have them get it. So, there's things that I'm never going to really get, and I'm never going to be able to pick up some cultural reference from a TV show that happened 20 years ago that was part of the zeitgeist. But I think that's what makes life interesting. It's nice not knowing everything. It's nice not getting everything. It's nice to every now and then, sometimes I'll be talking in a conversation with someone, all Thai, and then he'll say some word.
Right.
Like I heard the other day, samlak.
Yeah.
Or no, gosuak.
Okay.
Tay said, we were cooking something. He goes, rawang the gosuak. Gosuak I'd never heard. Even after 15 years, there's always, but it's neat to have things that you don't always know. I think it makes life much more exciting.
Yeah.
But by stopping and saying, hey, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you're not accepted. It shows that you're wanting to become more and more deeper in understanding
Or
things.
even better, just sitting back and observing what it means. Because some things you can't actually, even if you ask what it meant, how are you going to say it in English?
That's the cool part about Thai.
Yeah.
I think there's so many cool words in Thai that are like, gasua.
But you're never going to be in that circumstance if you stay within the bubble.
Right.
And sitting, teaching English, and because a lot of English teachers then get themselves in a position where they're not allowed to speak Thai. I've seen schools and everything get really angry when they start speaking Thai with the students. And so and you end up doing this. I would highly encourage, unless you really, really want to be an English teacher and you grew up and you did your degree to be a teacher, there's so many other things you can actually do for work and build that. But you've got to really want to live here. And if you do, there are many opportunities that are going to be out there other than just teaching English. There's a ton of business you can do.
Well, it's a great entry to the country too, though. I think a lot of young people who just graduated school and don't know what they want to do with their lives, that teaching English is a great way to get here, get a foothold, and start to find other jobs. Because even though this country does advertise jobs online, it's not the same way as in the West. So much of what you find here is through connections and through who you know.
Yeah.
So if you find some way to make money, and then start finding connections to start making more money.
Yeah, and don't lock yourself in that bubble.
Right.
I think that's the main thing, and you can be successful. Just speaking the language doesn't make you successful. The language is almost secondary to that. It's what's in here that's most important.
And I think the biggest thing is just letting yourself be okay with having no idea what's going on, what people are talking about, or what's happening. And to sit back and say, wow, like I'm 30 years old, I'm 40 years old, I'm experiencing something totally new is a great experience. And then look, how do you incorporate that into who you are?
Actually, that was I think it was the last point in my how to not be in Asia, is don't force your people, say you're a GM at a company, don't force your staff to always speak in English. Because one, you'll totally kill creativity because it'll come down to the lowest common denominator. Mm-hmm. But two, you miss out on so much of what's going on if you're forcing English because it's all filtered. But if you just sit back and enjoy the ride, you're going to have some really out there experiences.
And if you really want people to relate to you, pay attention to Thai YouTube and Thai TV. You don't have to love Thai TV, you don't have to love Thai YouTube, but if you can reference it to somebody, you're going to go, it's going to build bridges that you never could with just pure language.
And in saying that, check out Luke's channel. Once you click subscribe and the bell for my channel down below, go across to Picnically. Can you spell it out?
Picnicly, but Stu will put a thing up, right?
Picnically, I'll put it up there. And then go and check his channel out, subscribe, because it's really cool and you're going to get some insights, not just the topics that they talk about, but again, I always say this, but it's the metadata, it's why they're talking about it. And actually, you are a lot more in tune to stuff on the ground than I am here.
Because I'm younger.
Yeah, like all of these K-pop stars and everything. Whew. But I'm learning.
I'm only 2 years younger, but I'm loving being younger than somebody finally.
Okay, but that was awesome. Thank you very much, Luke, for being here on Wag the Dragon. Leave your comments down below. Let me know how you have integrated into the local environment in Thailand and around Asia, or if you're having troubles integrating, ask a question and maybe both of us can jump in and give our suggestions or our ideas from our experiences.
All right, talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Stuart J. Raj, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.